Well, there you all are. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome in once again to another rockin' awesome night here at the Six Screens. Well, I'm not up in Boston. I'm out in Reading, Pennsylvania. So we are traveling back to Boston, but we just made it into a hotel. So here we are, and I'm glad you're coming in. We always look forward to the audience we have on a Saturday night. So we do have Dick and Constance Borghi coming up next. Well, they got a program exposing the Watchtower. So we're looking forward to their program tonight. And then after Dick and Constance, in about 2 hours from now, we're going to do JW World News. I want to talk about weddings. Oh my goodness, the Watchtower is changing the way people are going to be getting married in the Kingdom Halls. Well, when you hear that, that's coming up tonight, right here on JW World News. So anyways, let's bring, and I just want to make one other comment too. The telephone lines at this point will not be on. I may try to do it. We'll see what happens. But the telephone lines won't be on, but there will be a link. We will have a link if you guys are listening in tonight would like to come on and talk to Dick and Constance. We can bring you on either via audio through StreamYard, or we can do audio and video. So we'll give you the choice to do that. But I'll put a link up so that you will be able to at least be in contact with Dick and Constance. So let's bring them in right now and say hello to them. So let's do that right now. Hello, Dick. Hello, Dick and Constance.
Hey,
Hi there, Rick.
How's everybody?
So yeah, we got a good audience already. I can't believe it. They were waiting for us to come in. I know we're just a few minutes late.
Uh-oh.
You frozen?
Do we lose the sound? Oh, my. What happened? He's frozen.
Yeah.
They might have a storm up there, huh?
Could be.
Oh, boy. Let me have the phone on just in case. Nothing? There. Is it working?
Welcome to My One Number. Oh, Rick just said muted.
Mm-hmm.
The phone line working, but for now, everyone else has to be able to video or StreamYard before they go to
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so the phone lines are not working at the present time?
That's right.
Okay. Okay, so, soon as I get my other phone charged up, I'll see if I can get them on the YouTube, and I'll just try a little bit later, see if he'll come, see if he gets things corrected. Yeah.
We're frozen on this end. We can see ourselves, but Rick, his screen froze, so that's why we haven't started yet. Oh, maybe. Let's see. Oh, maybe they didn't hear us.
Unmuted.
Rick, can you hear us? We can see ourselves on the screen, Rick, but we can't see you or hear anything.
Muted.
It was just pouring cats and dogs.
Yeah.
I wonder, did our
Stuff.
internet go out? No, we're still good. We still have a blue light. It's going to be a little bit of a rough night, isn't it?
Mm.
It's starting off this way. Or we're trying to get it all together. He's in Reading, Pennsylvania. Wow. Now he's got still ways to get home. He's in Pennsylvania. Something happened. I wonder if they have a storm up there. You know what, honey? They might have a storm up there. This might be coming down the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear us?
Unmuted.
Can you hear us now, honey? Yeah. It's like Rick was on the screen and we were ready to go, and then
Screen froze.
the screen froze. We have a major storm here. This storm might be coming down the East Coast. I mean, it was lightning, thunder, wind, pouring torrential rain. So I have a feeling he was hit with the storm, because we don't see him on the screen. We don't see him or hear him or anything. Yeah, not yet. He was there, but he froze.
This is Pixie. I think someone tried to commandeer the station because I called at 5:55 to connect with Rick before the show,
Yeah.
and I got lots of cussing and stuff. It wasn't him, so I think someone's commandeered it. I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, that's good, honey. But somebody was trying to,
It's rebroadcast.
someone was trying to sabotage the show, Pixie, is what you're saying?
Yes, I think someone was commandeering the station. So just keep talking. You're broadcasting loud and clear.
Should we start?
I don't want to
Yeah,
start.
go ahead and start. I have a happy topic. If you ran out of topics, I was thinking this afternoon about all the things we can do now. We can go to a baseball game where they have the national anthem. We can toast at a wedding. We can go to a rock show. So that would be fun.
Pixie, I didn't hear that one. I mean, can you actually salute the flag now?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Well,
The guy in the background? Mhm.
I was thinking of all the things after we've left that we can do now.
Right.
She was talking about
So
for a
that
topic
would
for
be-
tonight, Rich.
Okay. Yeah. Well, bring it up.
That's a fun topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do a little bit on Charlie Kirk, just a little bit about his evangelism and the things that he always allowed people to ask him questions and so forth. And in the Watchtower, you can't ask questions, and if you get answers from your questions and you don't like the answers, you can't question it again. You can't do a double take. And,
Well,
that's
I've
just
been there. I was there at age 3. I hear you.
yeah. There you go.
I'm just wondering if we should start or should we wait for Rick? I'm
Yeah.
not sure what to do here.
Well, I kind of like to wait for Rick.
I called Brad and Joe and some other people. They're on, listening, waiting for content.
Okay.
All right.
You want to
Well,
go ahead, Rich?
is Sue on the line at all?
Can you see, Pixie, if Sue Farron is on the line?
I don't see anything with this. I'm on the world's smallest phone.
Okay. All right. We'll get started.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's
Because it's
All
20
right.
after.
I hope it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And I just
It's the
want
right
the
thing to do. Just keep talking, sweetie.
all right.
Thank you. Thank you, Pixie.
Just want the audience to know that we're having a really severe thunderstorm, lightning here, and it might knock out the internet. The TV was flickering a little while ago, so if we're just not there any longer, that's the reason.
Mhm.
What I want to start off with tonight, and I really hope I get a lot of audience participation, so I want to talk about the life of Charlie Kirk. He's been on the news for the last 2 weeks, almost every minute. But I think it's really important that we talk about him. I think it's really important because he was quite an evangelist. Yes, he had a political vein through it. We're not going to talk about the politics. Rick asked me not to do that, so I won't do it. So we just want to talk about the spiritual side. And what I'd like the audience to know is that according to the Watchtower, when I was coming into the Watchtower in 1970, was becoming a believer, I believed that everybody was going to be destroyed at Armageddon who was not a baptized, dedicated Jehovah's Witness.
That was very true. That's what they tell me.
Everyone would be destroyed,
Right.
and it was incumbent upon us to knock on doors to save those people, because if we didn't, we would be blood guilty.
Right.
That's what I absolutely believed. It changed my whole life. It changed what I was going to be a career Marine. I had a girlfriend that I was thinking of marrying. All that went south, so to speak,
Mhm.
because I believed that 1975 was going to bring Armageddon. That's what I believed.
That's what Watchtower taught.
That's what they
Taught all of
taught.
us,
That's-
even since the late 60s, Rich.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Well, of course, they said Armageddon was going to come 1914. Then they said Jesus came, but he came invisibly. They changed changed rules. 1925, 1970, and a whole bunch of times in between that, they suggested it very, very strongly.
Mhm.
I think of Rutherford, who was getting Bess Serene ready for the ancients of old,
Oh,
the
yeah.
saints of old,
Well, and,
Isaac.
mhm. And not going to college, they
Yeah.
strongly discouraged that
Yeah.
because the system was coming to an end.
And,
Just
and
a pioneer instead.
yeah, and now they just reverse themselves on it.
Right.
I remember watching a video last week, as a matter of fact,
Mhm.
and it showed an elder body brought in an elder whose two daughters were going to college, and they really brought him over the coals. They made him a guy that you didn't want to even know. He was a bad actor. But anyway, the thing was they deleted him as an elder because his daughters were going to college.
Yeah, and he encouraged it.
Yeah.
So
So anyway, Charlie Kirk did encourage people to go to college, but he particularly encouraged them to read the Bible, And he was a wonderful man. I saw him on TV a couple of times, I'm sure of, with Tucker Carlson, and he made a lot of sense. In the JW world, he would be considered part of Catholicism, part of Christianity.
Christendom, huh?
And he would, Christendom, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Christendom, and he would be a person that you would avoid. You would avoid listening to. And he was very articulate, very spiritual. He could quote the Bible and do it in a really discerning way and make people understand that the Bible is very, very relevant today.
Well, and he was trying to reach, the kids in college.
Yep.
Because of, how it is in college now, with a lot of the liberal viewpoints. And many of them are not aware of God. They don't believe in God. They're not taught the Bible. So he was trying to reach them. And he was very much open to any kind of discussion, especially if they disagreed.
Yeah.
That's what was so beautiful about Charlie. He was sharp as a tack, but any kind of thing that you didn't agree with, then just come to the front to the microphone and let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So the point I'd like to make, Rich, of course, was is a veteran and was in the Marines, and our Constitution in the United States, First Amendment's all about freedom of speech. A lot of JWs are not really too aware, Rich, of our Constitution, our Bill of Rights. But the thing is, having the freedom of speech is so critical for not just this country, but all different countries, because not everybody's going to agree with one thought or one ideology. So that's what's so beautiful about freedom of speech. If people don't agree, maybe they don't even understand it. Maybe they think they understand, but they really don't. And that's where conversation has to come in, where it's very peaceful and there's no violence. Okay. So that's what Charlie Kirk was all about.
Yeah. Thank you, Connie.
And that,
Go ahead. Go ahead,
And
sister.
that's a good thing because, you know, this is Donald from Texas, by the way.
Yeah, hi, Donald.
That's one of the great things. Hey, how are you?
Good,
Yeah,
good.
that's one of the great things about our country.
Yes, it
One of the great
is.
things about our country is we have that freedom.
Yes, it is.
I don't know of anywhere else in the world that you can go that we have the type of freedom we have.
Well, honey, you're absolutely right about that. And our founding fathers, let me tell you, they gave up absolutely everything so we could have that freedom of speech. They gave up their fortunes. They gave up their freedom. They gave up even their families. And they fought like crazy so that we here in this United States of America could have our God-given liberties from God. And that one of them, the first one, is freedom of speech. And that's what's so beautiful. Tying in with Watchtower, you know, this is very interesting. I'd like to share this, Rich,
Sure.
if you're okay
Mhm.
with that.
Yep.
You know, before you get baptized and you're having a Bible study with the JWs, of course you have freedom of speech. You know, you're sitting down having a discussion with the JWs and you're trying to understand the Bible from their version of it, but you're also trying to communicate your ideas of maybe what you don't agree or what you don't understand, and there's a dialogue, and that's very good. That's very, very good. Even if it's not religion, if it could be politics, you name it, could be anything, but that dialogue is what's really important. And in the JWs, it's not until a person becomes baptized that freedom of speech is really stifled. And what do I mean by that? Once you are baptized in this organization, you know, if the governing body members say something or an elder gets up on the platform and says whatever, and you don't agree with it, God forbid, you do not speak a word. It's like you're in North Korea, because you know there's going to be serious ramifications for speaking your mind.
Yeah, most certainly, Connie is correct on that. If you start challenging things, they're going to put you on apostate watch.
Right.
Then after that, they'll mock you. And when Rick Ferring, because I was with him at the time, started pointing out, you know, at the United Nations, pedophilia, and all that stuff that we talk about on Six Screens all the time. What do? They just fellowshipped him. They're going to shut him up, and that's why they do disfellowshipping,
Right.
to shut people up. Nobody can talk to them. They're
But
labeled.
you know what?
Go ahead.
That doesn't work because once they leave, they don't shut them up. They're still, look at Rick, he's still speaking.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Definitely, honey.
Yeah.
It's like trying to put a fire out.
Watchtower really can't.
Right.
Yeah, Watchtower really can't shut people up. I mean, yeah, they do while they're in the organization because people don't want to lose their families and stuff. But see, that's the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing, to me, from what I believe about their baptism, the reason why they push for that is so that they can control you. Because when you're not baptized,
Totally.
they really can't control you. But once you're baptized, see, their baptism is a contract. It's
Sure.
It's a verbal contract.
Yep. No matter what
It
age,
has
even
nothing
if
to
you're
do
a
with
child.
Jesus at all.
That's right. You're absolutely right about that. That's why they're always encouraging. That's why they're always encouraging young people to get baptized real young. You know,
Yeah.
Jesus didn't get baptized till he was 30, but in the JWs, there's some I've heard who have gotten baptized
12 years
9,
old, yeah.
10, 11. They have no idea what they're getting themselves into.
And they're only getting baptized to please the parents.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
Please everybody else, yeah.
you're right, Donald. It's a mechanism for manipulation and control. And what happens is when you have an organization, any kind of organization, any kind of religion, any kind of, you know, political arena, whatever the situation might be, when there's manipulation and there's control, and they do this, like in Watchtower's case, the consequences, if you speak up, you know, you're going to be disfellowshipped and you're going to lose your family. And what ends up happening is, you know, they think that they do control you, but actually they don't. There is no control there. And the point I really want to make here, it's when people are very insecure, they play these mind games, these psychological games of separating families and destroying families because they want to shut you up, because they want to have total control They're not open to any kind of disagreement, even if it's a friendly disagreement. They're just not open to it. It's their way or the highway, as the expression goes. And people that behave like that, whether it's a relationship, a marriage, a religion, whatever, political party, it's all about control. And those kinds of people are very, very insecure. Because when you're really secure with yourself, you don't have a problem with discussing with people who have different points of views. And it can be very beneficial, but not in Watchtower. Watchtower is like North Korea. God forbid you speak out. You're going to pay the price. And fortunately, a lot of people, JWs as well, are listening into this show and other ex-JW shows, and they're learning. They're learning a lot. And there's a lot of PMOs as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I want to point out to the audience is that we have a good guy. His name is Mike. He's from Michigan, and he calls up quite a bit. And sometimes he's a glad fly, and sometimes he's a naysayer. But other times, he makes some very good points. And the last time we were on, I think it was last week or the week before that.
A couple of weeks.
Yeah, he alluded to the fact that Rick probably should have hired a private investigator to find Johnny the Bethelite. Well, just so the audience knows that me and Rick did drive down to New York, and Rick did all the driving. I hate driving in New York.
Yeah,
but
New York's
it's a horrible
crazy
thing.
place.
But we went down. We went looking for Johnny the Bethelite. We knew the places that he hung out, and so we went there. But we couldn't find him.
Yeah.
My point is that that even though Mike can be cantankerous at times, Rick lets him on, lets him say what he wants to
Yes,
say.
he does. He sure does.
And Rick knows his phone number, and Rick could cut him off, but he doesn't, because Rick is honest. He's nothing to hide. 6 Screens has nothing to hide. We are casting a bright light into the darkness of the Watchtower. We have invited any governing body member to come on and argue any point with us. I mean, we've been basting, the governing body for 2 decades.
20 years.
And we always say, and I've said, Jeffrey Jackson, come on my program.
Right.
Let's talk about anything you want to talk about.
Right.
I'll give you 2 weeks. And I'm no great Bible scholar or a super spiritual person, but I would love to debate. I'd like to know how he's driving a $500,000 Bentley. That would probably be my first question. But anyway, I just saw, speaking of Jeffrey Jackson, just saw him on YouTube, and he's knocking Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah,
I
that was
swear.
interesting.
And then he's got
They
his
were mocking him.
and he's got the audience laughing. I'm sure they're JWs, but someday he's going to stand in front of Jesus Christ, and he's not going to be. Nobody's going to be laughing. He won't be laughing. No, he won't be laughing.
Well, just the background on that, okay, just the background is that it was a brief clip from YouTube, and he was mocking Jesus Christ. What happened is that it was Jeffrey Jackson.
Yep,
right? Yeah,
it
Jeffrey
was.
Jackson. He had a friend that he wanted to. No, it wasn't Jeffrey, honey. It was Samuel Hurd. Rich.
No, he was on too.
Okay, maybe
but Jeffrey Jackson, I'm sure of.
Okay, well, this one that I had seen was Samuel Hurd was saying that he had a brother come up and say a prayer, and this brother apparently had been in the organization for many years, and the brother apparently was nervous. I don't know, maybe because he's praying in front of Samuel Hurd. I don't know, but he was nervous, and he was praying to Jesus Christ. And afterwards, after the prayer, Samuel Hurd had said to this brother, "Why were you praying to Jesus Christ?" And he said, "Oh, I was really nervous." And so the point that was made is, basically, don't be praying to Jesus Christ. You need to pray to Jehovah, which is a total blasphemy right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Our
blasphemy.
Heavenly Father said you gotta pray through Jesus Christ to
Right.
get to our Heavenly Father.
Right. But he
who's
was
going to do the judging?
And now,
yeah.
well, not only that, since they claim that Jesus is Michael the Archangel, what I'd like to ask
35 members. I said, okay, if he's Michael the Archangel,
Jeez.
then explain to me how on earth he was able to die for all the sins of everybody on the earth.
Well, that's it.
Because if Michael was,
Mm-hmm.
see, Michael's a created being just like they claim Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So how can a created being die for, because they're created, they're not God.
Mm-hmm.
So how can they die for somebody, for people's sins when they're not perfect like God is?
Right. Well, and the thing is the
I mean, they
resurrection. The resurrection's the key to the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
key.
Oh, resurrection, yep.
So if you're saying that he's an archangel, that let me tell you, that is not even in the Bible. Not even, that's Watchtower's
No, it's not.
New
The
World
only place-
Translation.
The only place I think, the only place where you can get that from about the archangel thing is there is a place I think it's in Revelation where it says he will come. That when he returns, he will come with the voice of an archangel. But I would tell Samuel, heard this, I said, okay, let's go with that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say, Samuel, have you ever watched when the president addresses the United States? And he would say, yes. I said, well, think about this. The person that speaks before the president does, what do they say before the president comes up to the platform? They say, ladies and gentlemen, the president of the United States. Now, is that person that says that, are they the president? No. They're announcing the president, just like the archangel will be announcing Christ's coming.
Right.
But that doesn't mean the archangel's Jesus.
Right. That's very
point.
good.
So
Very
the
good
archangel's
point, Donald.
voice.
Mhm.
Yep. Very good
Yeah.
point. And it's
And not
really.
only that,
Mhm.
and if you talk about this firstborn stuff, I go and look at you again. I say, okay, Mr. Samuel Hurd, all right, what do we call the vice president? And he'll say, First Lady. I'll say, now wait a minute, First Lady? Does that mean she's the first lady ever born? That she is the first of all women? And he'll say, no. I'll say, well, that's the same thing with Jesus Christ. He's not first physically born. He's preeminent. It has to do with his position.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So,
Mhm.
Jesus is not created. He's always been. He's been there for eternity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Watchtower has a lot of holes in their theology. Many.
That's for sure.
Many holes. And it's interesting you bring this up, Donald,
Mhm.
because JW's, they just listen to what's being said on the platform, and many of them don't question
Yeah.
it. And it's very important. People need to really reason and think about these things, because if it's not based from the Bible, then it obviously is not true. It's not coming from God.
No, and a lot of stuff isn't in the Bible.
Right.
They try to put it in there, but it's not.
Right. Right.
Yeah, they take out what they want to take out, and they infuse their doctrine into the
Yes, they
New
do.
World Translation.
Yeah.
It's a perversion. That Bible that they're teaching people through or with is a perversion.
Mm-hmm.
It's nowhere near accurate.
You know,
There was a sorcerer, a defrocked Catholic priest
yeah.
that was
Joe-
Honest Reber, right?
And his
Exactly.
wife.
And he wrote their Bible.
And he was a spirit medium, he and his
Yeah.
wife.
Yeah.
So, most JWs don't know that, and they do need to know that,
Mhm.
because we know how dangerous, the occult and sorcery is. And if your Bible's inspired by someone who's involved in the occult, that says a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's not inspired by God. It's inspired by. Mhm.
But you know what? You guys get this, because they messed with the Bible. They're in trouble. Now, saying they're in trouble is really, there's no word to put for that.
Right.
What they're going to be facing is more than just trouble.
Oh, yeah. That's an understatement. I follow.
I'm
an
glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, because in the book of Revelations, so that if you take something out of the Bible or inject something into it, you're cursed.
Mhm.
And I don't know what the worst punishment could ever be, but they're going to get it.
Well,
Every
God's
one
going
of
to
those,
have to make that decision.
yeah, the governing body.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't want to be there. I've done a lot of sinning in my life, but I would not want to be governing body member.
Mhm.
You know, they said that the worst sin, you know, is it's a sin you can't be forgiven.
Blasphemy?
Blasphemy, like in Jesus' time when Jesus was committing miracles,
Mm.
and they were saying those miracles were through the power of Beelzebub, or Satan, the devil, right?
Right.
You know, that's the sin that can't be forgiven.
Well, the reason behind that, which is very interesting, the Pharisees were like the governing body. You know, I
Yep,
like that
that were.
analogy. They're
Mhm.
now like the governing body today is like the ancient Pharisees. They're all puffed up in pride, very powerful, very wealthy, and they loved all the accolades and all of the honor and, oh, look at
Mhm.
us, and we're in the town square, and we are the Pharisees, and we know all 613 laws by heart. But what was interesting is they could not accept Jesus as far as who he was. And when he was doing these miracles, you know, they could not believe that it was from God. And so they said, well, you know, you're getting your power from the devil. So that's very, very interesting. You know, the lies, and Watchtower is all about lies. They really are. You're in the organization long enough, you do see the lies. And what's so sad about it is, you know, Satan will use this to be able to twist people's minds and to confuse people. Satan uses that. He uses doubt and he
Mhm.
uses confusion. And yet God's all about order. And yet with Watchtower, they create a lot of doubt and a lot of lies, and people need to see it. And it affects millions and millions of people
Yeah,
today.
8 million people.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that they also don't believe that God is omnipresent?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, where
That's-
He's not everywhere.
That's their
Right.
version, honey.
Yep.
See, it's a man-made religion, is what it is. And when you look at it, it has absolutely nothing to do with Christianity. I know that's a very bold statement, but it's a truthful statement.
it absolutely is a truthful statement.
It's a corporation
You know,
in the disguise of a religion.
I harken back to a situation that happened in 1985. And I've said this many times on 6 screens, but we have a new audience all the time.
Yeah.
So I would just do this really quick.
Okay.
We know that the Watchtower breaks up families.
Oh yeah.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
I had a sister-in-law that who was a former pioneer, baptized Jehovah's Witness, and somebody gave her a Santa Claus lapel pin.
And the whole family were JWs.
Right, and her whole family.
Her whole family
right?
were. Yeah.
So she wore the pin, and we worked at the same company. It was called Wang Laboratories, but that's irrelevant, actually.
Mhm.
So she was wearing the Santa Claus.
Little Christmas pin.
Christmas
Mhm.
Santa Claus
Lapel,
on her lapel.
Okay.
And one of the elders that worked at
Yeah.
Wang saw her,
Mhm.
and you reported to the other elders, and they told her to come in for a judicial meeting. She wouldn't come in. They gave her 3 or 4 shots at it. She wouldn't come in. So they disfellowshipped her.
Mhm.
Well, she used to do babysitting for us.
Yeah.
And my boys loved her. And then we had to tell them, look, we can't talk to Auntie Mabel any longer. She's disfellowshipped, and they're crying. It's terrible.
And your boys were little.
And my boys were little. I'm
What,
probably 7 and 4, something like that,
Yeah,
at the time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they come out with a Watchtower saying, show love to erring ones, have them over for dinner, try to get them back into the supposed truth, be kind to them, don't shun them. Then 6 months after that, they turn around and write another article and they say, shun them, don't talk to them, they're evil. They're going to be evil till
Oh wow.
3 elders say that they're not. And that's all political.
Sure it is.
It's all political.
Oh my goodness.
And here's my whole point.
Yeah.
Well, here's my whole point. This is a man-made organization. They change the rules, like you change your socks.
Mhm.
They really do. Now you can have beards. Sisters can wear pants. You
Now
can
you
go to
can-
college.
Right.
Uh,
You can toast.
yeah, you can toast and
Mhm.
yeah, all the things you couldn't do before. And little by little, they're going to start making the changes. They're going to let you, I'm sure, go into the military, or I'm sure they're going to let you celebrate Christmas. It's going to be a matter of conscience. The blood issue is going to be a matter of conscience. It'll be down the road. They can't make 1,000 changes all at once, but they're going to make slow changes. They even have a Christmas carol now
Yeah.
in their songbook.
Yeah.
But they're making the changes, and the reason that they're making a lot of changes is because the governments are catching up on them,
Right.
and the government's saying, if you're going to keep shut, we're not going to give you X amount of money.
Norway.
Norway and Denmark, Sweden, I think all of them
Yeah.
are looking at them.
Oh, yeah.
Taking the
All
money.
that's just for money.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and what's interesting is the fact that it's there are so many people that are leaving the organization now, and Watchtower's not making these changes for the benefit of the people. They're doing it because of damage control.
Yep.
They are hemorrhaging, like Rick would say. They're on life support. They're in ICU, and they are on life support right now. And what's interesting is they're making these changes. I mean, God forbid, brothers who wanted to have beards. Think of the brothers up in New England, which is where my husband's from. Well, they have very, very cold winters up there. They're very close to Canada.
Mhm.
And so you're going out in service and it's freezing, or the sisters are going out in service and it's snowing. I mean, of course they'd want to wear pants. Oh, no, you can't wear pants. Well, anyway, now after all these years, they've changed that. And that's why I'll say seasoned, just say, or the elderly
Mhm.
JWs who've been JWs for many, many years, they do not like these new changes. The young people, oh yeah, sure they do. But for someone who's been in the organization maybe 40, 50, 60 years, it's like, what's this with the beards and the pants? And I mean, we saw that one brother, remember,
Mhm.
at the assembly wearing a beard, on YouTube. And it was very strange to see that, or the governing body members. Very strange.
Yeah, I think half the governing body members now have grown their beards out.
Yeah.
Half of them.
I don't like it. I don't think they look attractive at all.
No.
But that's just me. I grew up in the organization, and I like a man that's clean cut. I don't like, unless he's got a beard that's really well groomed, and there's not too many men that have those full, well groomed beards. But
Mhm.
the organization is changing because of damage control. And what that really means is when they start losing members, they're losing a lot of money. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
They're losing a lot of money. And the other issue is they're not making these changes because they care about you, because you know what? They never did care about you.
Never.
They never did care about you. How can I say that? Well, when you're willing to sacrifice your child in the hospital because of not taking a blood transfusion, and that's your child, there's no love. There's absolutely no love. And that is not even Bible-based. That was based on dietary issues. Even Jews know that. Has nothing to do with medical reasons.
Star 6. Anyone want to
They
make
use that as a control.
Go ahead, brother. Didn't mean to cut you off.
They use that as just another control thing. They
Oh,
use,
sure.
You know.
Sure it is. Well, and God's all about life, and the enemy is all about destruction and death.
Mhm.
John 10:10 came to
Yeah.
kill, destroy, and steal. It doesn't get any more blatant than to sacrifice your life or your child's life for a blood transfusion that's not even Bible based. Talk to any Jew. Talk to an Orthodox Jew. That would be like the Pharisees of
Yeah.
ancient. They will take blood. They do not have a problem taking blood transfusions. I've said this on the air before. In Israel, I believe it's Jerusalem, but I know it's somewhere in Israel. I saw a special on that many years ago. They have a huge blood bank underground where when there's because of the war that's over there, and when there's a need for blood, the Jews are able to take blood. So why is it that God's people, the original people of God, are willing and able to take blood with a clear conscience, and yet the Jehovah's Witnesses, they believe that, you know, that's not something that is Bible based. It's because of their cherry picking of the scriptures,
Yeah.
and Satan the devil loves to come kill, destroy, and steal your life. So
Yeah, getting back to, blood transfusions, people were starting to die, and the Watchtower was getting sued.
Yeah.
So they start off blood fractions and
Yeah.
this and that. I mean, in biblical days, I mean, they didn't even know how to type blood till World War One.
right.
That's when they started doing
blood.
that. Right.
Uh-huh.
They didn't know,
Well, have you guys ever thought about this one? For years they didn't take transplants,
Right.
but blood is a type of transplant, isn't it?
of course.
Yeah, it's involved in it for sure.
Mhm.
So why are they railing against that particular transplant, but every other transplant you can have?
Right. Well, and the other thing too, Donald, is at one time you could not have organ transplants. Then they flip-flopped. Then you could. Then you
Yeah.
couldn't. Okay. Think about all the hundreds of thousands of people. I don't know, maybe millions. I don't know. Think of all the enormous amount of people that were JWs that died or their loved ones died because now you can't take
Oh, yeah.
an organ transplant, and then down the road, now you can, and they've lost their loved one. You talk about bitter.
Yeah, there is blood
Oh my
in every
gosh.
capillary in your body, and there's billions of them. There is no way that you could do an organ transplant like a liver or something like that without infusing somebody else's blood with yours.
Or the thing is, Rich, like even if it was a heart transplant or a pancreas or kidneys, right? But just say whatever the organ might be. Why is it that you can't? Why is it this? Why can you not set aside a reserve of your own blood before you go into the hospital?
Yeah, why not?
You'll never hear Watchtower say that. Never. Never. It's just no matter what, you cannot take any blood. Well, what about if it's your own blood, right? That's still unacceptable. Why? See, that should be questioned. Why? Just because they said so? I don't think so.
Yeah, they said a lot of things
You know what's
that
also
didn't happen.
You know what's also strange too?
What's that?
What's weird is they can receive a blood fraction, but they can't give blood fractions.
Right. See, that's ridiculous. Doesn't even make any sense.
Makes no sense at all. I want the audience to know something. Excuse me. I had a good friend. His name was Mark Palo.
Yeah.
He's dead now, but his father and mother were translators, translating the Watchtower. Thank you. Into the Finnish language. And so he grew up. He knew all the governing. Sorry. He knew all the governing body members and the whole bit. And he told me, he said, one of the governing body members, and I think it was Brother Noor, had some kind of procedure done, and he took blood, but they kept it a secret.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So,
Wow.
they're horrible liars. They don't care if you die. I heard a story last month, and I'm going to repeat it again.
Because of the new audience.
Because of the new audience. There was a brother, and his family was wealthy,
Oh, yeah.
and they were JWs. And his mother and father were killed in a car accident.
Mhm.
And there was a big insurance settlement over it. And they had a beautiful house. So this brother just turned 19 to 20. He marries his sister.
Well, he was the only child.
He was the only child.
Inherited.
And so he inherited the house and a big settlement from the insurance company.
Mhm.
So what does he do? He takes the money from the house and the insurance settlement. He gives it to the Watchtower. He marries this sister from the Kingdom Hall. They go work at Bethel for 30-something years.
Yeah.
He's in bad health now. She's in bad health.
They're
They
older
said-
now. They're older
Yeah,
now.
they were in his 60s, I guess. and they just go up and say, well, look, we're downsizing, hit the bricks.
Yeah.
Well, we get no Social Security, we get nothing. We gave you, I'm going to pull this number out of the sky. We gave you $500,000 30 years ago. Can
With
you
our-
help us out with at least bus fare?
With our inheritance.
Hell no, we're not going to give you anything.
Right.
That's the Watchtower.
Yeah.
Unless you're a real high mucky muck and you're in with the Satan's organization, really helping the Satan's organization to fool people. And you're going to live at Warwick, and you're going to live, in their paradise. They're beautiful
The
homes they have up
headquarters.
there.
Yeah.
The
The
headquarters.
headquarters.
I went up there, and it's nice. I mean, it overlooks
It's
the
like a
lake.
resort.
It's a resort,
Hmm.
But that brother who gave 30 years of his life and maybe $500,000 to the Watchtower, they wouldn't even give him bus fare to go home.
Well, the interesting thing about it is that, the governing body members, and comes down through the elders into the congregation, teach that it's such a privilege to go to Bethel if you're accepted, and to be a Bethelite and to work there, and you're doing it for Jehovah. And so people believe this, and they give up, the best years of their life. They're
Yeah.
giving up their youth. From how young can you be? 18 to go
I think
to?
I think
18 or
it. I
19?
think it used to be 20, and then they
Okay.
dropped down to 18.
Okay. And then you're talking about through your 20s, through your
Yeah.
30s. Back in the 70s, I know they wanted the brothers to save for 4 years, a 4-year commitment.
Mhm.
But, they get in there, and, they were single. Now they do have some married couples. That was not allowed back in my day. But anyway, so they've been there for many years. Some of them have. And they felt that they had what I would call job security.
Yeah.
We're doing this for Jehovah. We're setting an example to others in the congregation. And, we don't have to be worrying about paying rent or bills. We have a roof over our head. We have food. We have job security.
Mhm.
And then when Watchtower, when was it, Rich? 2015? Around that time?
Mhm.
They started laying people off, and
Yeah.
people were absolutely shocked. Like, they didn't see it coming. They had no time to really prepare. If you don't have an education and you have not worked out in the real world, boy, oh boy, it doesn't matter how old you are, you're starting at the very beginning.
If you
And that's a
quit,
challenge.
if you quit high school at 16,
Yeah.
and you told the elders, "I'm quitting high school," and you had Nazi JW parents,
Yeah.
Debbie, oh, what a wonderful idea! Quit high school and serve
And pioneer.
Jehovah and
Pioneer.
pioneer.
Yep.
They would think that was great.
Yep.
Well, see how far you're going to get on without a high school diploma these days.
You're not going to get anywhere. And what happens is a lot of the pioneers,
Mhm.
they're struggling. They're struggling financially because they don't have an education, and yet they have to pay rent like everybody else.
Mhm.
If they have a car, they're going to have to make car payments, or gasoline, tires, insurance, maintenance, tune-up, oil. I mean, the whole thing. It's hard to go out and service if you don't have a car. If you don't have a car and to go out and service, you got to rely on someone else, or you just got to do all the walking yourself. That's a challenge. But the thing is they're finding out how expensive everything is, and yet they're struggling financially.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of depression, Rich. We've heard that among pioneers. They're very depressed because it's like we're trying to do everything we can to maintain being regular pioneers, and yet the organization, of course, isn't helping us financially.
Nope.
And if anything, they're requesting, they mean the organization, requesting more and more donations.
Yep. And then when pioneers, come up with the money.
Right. And they don't have it.
The thing about the Watchtower is they control $7 billion.
That's a lot of money.
They have their own hedge funds, and
That's
they
a
got their
lot of
money laundering schemes going.
That's a lot of money.
They help nobody.
Right.
They help nobody.
I wanted to say something,
go ahead. What's that?
when you said when they're kicked out of Bethel.
Yeah.
They don't give them any money for bus fare.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know that's not funny. I'm not laughing because of that. I'm laughing what I'm about to tell you. Okay, I have worked with felons, okay, and I have worked with the homeless population. My degree's in social work, and that's the population I worked with. Let me tell you, when somebody comes out of prison, I'm talking about a felony. I'm not talking about no misdemeanors. Okay, they come out of prison. They've been in there X amount of years. At least they get, back in the day, I'm sure they probably get more now. They get $200 for a bus fare.
Yeah.
And it would be like, okay, here's your $200. That's your bus fare wherever you're going to go. You're leaving the prison right now, and it's going to take you to wherever $200 will. But
yeah.
Watchtower doesn't even do that,
They
Rich.
give you a suit, and they send you to a halfway house where you have, a bed, you get a bed and you get fed.
For felons? You
Yeah,
talking about?
anybody.
They call it a halfway house.
Yeah.
Rich. It's a halfway house.
They're non
Tea
parole
house.
or whatever.
Transitional homes.
Transitional homes,
Yeah.
call it what you will.
Tea homes.
But they help them. When you leave,
Yes, they do.
when the Watchtower walks up to you and says, you got to be out by next week, and well, where do we go? Go back to the congregation. They'll take care of you.
Well,
they will
won't.
not.
They won't.
They will not take care of you. They don't even know who you are.
Right.
If I went back to my former congregation,
Mhm.
which was, my former congregation was Drake at Mass. That's dissolved. The Kingdom Hall that I helped build is sold off
Yeah.
to another church.
Yeah.
It has a big crucifix on the top of it.
Right.
This is the church. This is a Kingdom Hall that I worked my butt off to build. They have a governing body came from Bethel and gave the dedication talk.
Yeah.
This building was dedicated to Jehovah God, and right now it has a big crucifix on the front of it. How do you rationalize that?
And God forbid if you wanted to be in one of your family members' wedding
Oh
and
yeah,
say they were Catholic, that was my experience. Oh my gosh, you would have been disfellowshipped for doing that. Or, say a loved one, someone in your family who's not a JW, and there was a funeral and it's a different religion, we know how that works. You can't be a part of that. So, but it's all right for Watchtower to be able to sell these kingdom halls to Muslims or any organization, any religious organization, because it comes down to the money.
yeah. Well, they sold a Kingdom Hall. I forget where it was, but to a company that was selling marijuana. It became legal. Marijuana became legal in that state, so they were selling marijuana out of a Kingdom Hall, out of a former Kingdom Hall.
You can't go to another church, but
No.
your Watchtower can join the United Nations.
That's it.
Yeah,
Well, and Dan and Angela Clark, they went out to Sedona, Arizona, and there was a Kingdom Hall there that Dan was familiar with.
Mhm.
And now it was sold, and it's a purple building, and it's all this New Age stuff.
Yeah.
He said it was the craziest thing. You walked in, it had been a Kingdom Hall at one time, and now it's all New Age. New Age.
Oh wow!
And Sedona is known for that. Sedona, Arizona is known for that. So, and then like I've always said, down in San Jose, California, where our friend Johnny's from, you're down there around Los Gatos area, which means the cats in Spanish.
Mhm.
Anyway, it's San Jose area. And there's a huge parcel of land. And apparently they had 3 Kingdom Halls. Anyway, Watchtower saw that, and now you're talking about Silicon Valley, right?
Mhm.
Cha-ching, cha-ching. And
Yeah.
so they sold all 3 parcels. I've never heard of 3 Kingdom Halls on one parcel, but they did. And they sold it for over $1 million, and they sold it to Muslims. So,
Oh wow!
and it's because of the money.
Does a Kingdom Hall? Does the governing body care that they sold off a Kingdom Hall, and those brothers who were using that hall have to drive an hour and a half?
No, they don't.
They don't care.
No, they
They
don't.
could care less. Just where's the money? Where's the money?
Well, and they get the labor for free. Rich.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what contractors would charge in the San Francisco Bay Area? I'm out of touch with that now, but I'm sure it's probably 150 an hour, easy, maybe more.
What?
And Watchtower gets all this free labor, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, drywall, flooring, roofers, you name it. It's all free. It's all free labor. And not only is it free labor, even like, for Watchtower headquarters,
Mhm.
right? Brothers and sisters take time off of work and
Yeah.
vacation to donate all of their free time and their travel up there. Plus, they have to have accommodations to stay, or they staying in hotels, whatever. And Watchtower gets all of this for free. And what's interesting is let's go back to the Kingdom Hall. The Kingdom Halls are built by the brothers,
That's right.
those quick builds.
Mhm.
Okay. And anyway, the thing is that what I was going to say is, they're done very, very quickly. And those Kingdom Halls should actually be in the name of the brothers and sisters in the congregation.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because they're the ones paying for the mortgage note.
Yeah.
And yet Watchtower will come in and say, nope, thank you so much for all your donations and paying for the mortgage for, maybe 20, 25 years. But we have the deed to the title of this Kingdom Hall. I mean, you talk about a snake.
Oh, that was a scam.
That's a scam.
That was a
And yet-
scam.
The brothers and sisters can't even say anything.
And not only that, but even though they were paying the note, once Watchtower took those back, they're still paying the monthly note.
Yeah.
That's
back.
exactly right, Donald.
And they don't own them, huh?
No.
Mhm.
And they get sold right from underneath them.
You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
And this
They
is,
still want their money.
and they still want the money. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's an organization that you have to be completely obedient and compliant. And God forbid you want to speak up and say, no, this is very unjust and this is actually illegal.
Mhm.
Well, you'll be disfellowshipped for that.
Yep.
Yep.
Any elder that gets in the way.
Wasn't that a loan forgiveness? Well, some kind of, wasn't what they call it, a loan forgiveness thing? Or not a loan forgiveness, a mortgage forgiveness, or whatever it was that they had. And that's how they took them back. They took Kingdom Halls back. But then they made it, they said, well, you don't have to pay a mortgage, but we still want the same amount of money each month.
That's
for
right.
this.
Right.
That's right.
They called it a donation or something.
Yep.
The scam started about,
They wanted that same amount.
Yep.
yeah, that scam started
Yeah.
about 20 years ago. That's what they're doing now. But 20 years ago, traveling overseer would come and say, brothers, you need a new parking lot.
Yes.
Oh, and so the elders are, we're barely keeping the lights on. Well, I'll tell you what, the Watchtower is going to loan you, let's say, $20,000 for a new parking lot.
And charge interest, right, Rich?
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you have a brother that's in a desperate way
And he needs a loan.
and needs a loan, you can't charge him interest. The Bible tells you that. But what do? They charge
They're
interest.
charging
They
interest. Yes.
throw a loan at you. They almost twist your arm until you have to take it.
Yeah.
And if you say, no, we can't afford it,
Yeah.
any elder that says, no, I'm not going to, no, to the Watchtower,
Right.
he gets deleted.
Well, I would like to say to the audience, please do your research and go on. I'm originally from the San Francisco Bay Area. Look up the Menlo Park, California Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses. And there was a big ruckus with regards to that. Huh, Rich?
Yep.
It was exactly what you said.
Mhm.
For anyone that doesn't know Menlo Park is right next to Palo Alto, which is where Stanford University is.
Mhm.
It's very, very wealthy. And what happened is that, the Kingdom Hall, I believe it was paid off. And the circuit overseer came, told the brothers. Bruce Raditich was one of the elders. Bruce had come to our congregation and gave a talk on Sunday.
Mhm.
So anyway, it's very interesting because it wasn't very far from where I lived. But anyway, so the circuit overseer came and said to the body of elders, you need to expand your parking lot. And they said, there's nothing wrong with our parking lot. It's absolutely fine.
Mhm.
And the circuit overseer said, no, you have to do this. Well, there was a big problem with that. And anyway, look up Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses in Menlo Park, California. There were two brothers, like a father and son, that contested it, and they were just fellowship.
Oh yeah.
They were just fellowship. They did not need a new parking lot, but Watchtower told the circuit overseer, "You tell these brothers they have to do that, or else." And anyway, they ended up selling that Kingdom Hall, and they got a lot of money for it. But that will give you a good example of the corruption that goes on in the organization.
Yeah, one of the corrupt things that they did, in lieu of what we're talking about right now, is the circuit overseer would come to a congregation and say, "Well, you got to do this. You got to put handrails on." And
Yeah.
well, that's code. Well, it wasn't code in the 50s when the
Right.
Kingdom Hall was built.
Right.
They wanted everything to be right up to code because they knew they were going to sell those buildings,
That's right.
and they knew that they had to be up to code for the new owner to purchase it.
There you go.
It was-
Because
it
a
was
lot
a-
of times,
yeah.
Rich, that like if it was built, say, in the 50s or 60s or 70s,
Mhm.
you didn't have American Disability Act, ADA,
Right.
right? So things were grandfathered in. They
Mhm.
would use that expression. You'll hear, "Oh, it was grandfathered in," which meant, well, when the building was built back in the day, there was no ADA laws, American Disabilities Act, with the ramps and the handrails and all that.
Right.
So you'd hear the expression, they don't have to upgrade it. I'm not talking about Kingdom Halls. I'm talking
Right.
about maybe workspaces
Mhm.
because they were grandfathered in. They built that building before ADA came into effect. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Watchtower did that because they had a hidden agenda. What was that hidden agenda? They were going to turn around, sell that Kingdom Hall, and make a profit. And whoever bought it certainly would be needing that.
Yeah, it was turnkey for any company
Mhm.
or other church,
Mhm.
because once you buy something, you got to make sure your house is up to code.
Right,
You know.
right. Right.
So they are such scammers. And
They're wolves. They're wolves
Yeah.
in sheep's clothing.
brother, would love having you on. I just want to make sure there isn't anybody else
Yeah.
trying to get on.
Yeah.
*6 if you want to make a comment
Thank you, Donald.
on anything.
Yep.
Don't go away. I'm not trying to kick you off. We just want to make sure that if somebody else wants to get on, that they have the opportunity.
Yeah, we have another hour. Rick's giving us 2 hours. So we have another hour.
What were you saying, Stephanie?
Go on, honey.
You called my name or something, Stephanie?
No, I was just saying thank you, Donald. Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, don't go away, Donald. We're not kicking you off. We just want to make sure if there's somebody else.
Oh, no, I know.
Okay. *6, if you want to comment on what we're talking about tonight. Charlie Kirk, anything on the Watchtower? Okay, Don, you're back on then.
I hear
Okay.
noise in the background. Yeah. Do you hear all that noise? There's a lot of noise.
Hello, Constance. Hello, Dick and Constance.
Oh, here's Rick.
Here's
honey.
Rick.
Rick's coming on right now.
Yeah, so anyways, that's good, Constance. You have the telephone line on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mute the line so you won't get all that background noise. And then we can allow the people to come on when they want by hitting *6. But thank you for hanging in there. We had, we no sooner set up here than the internet went out. And so I went to the innkeeper here and say, how do we get on the internet? He said, just get on. But it took us a little while to get on. There was no password. So we're here. So everything's going fine now. You got a good audience listening in right now. So, but I'm glad to figure that out with the telephone line. So is there a lot of noise on that line right now, Constance?
Yeah, there is a little bit, Rick. But we could hear Donald clearly. We could hear Pixie. I was going to ask you, Rick, were you hit with the storm as well? Is that why you went down?
Well, I think that might have been part of it. Yeah, that
Yeah,
might have been
okay.
part of it. So it's kind of knocked things off balance here. But we're back on
Yeah.
action. Thank you for figuring that out. And
Okay.
anyway, that's good. So we got a good audience in here tonight. So continue on. I'm here. I'll be watching things like a hawk for you. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
So we're going to be here, Rick.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn this off then.
All righty.
Yeah.
So anyway, folks, *6, if you want to come on, I guess we got a clean runway for that. There's something I want to talk about because I've been watching the Charlie Kirk thing on TV for the last 2 weeks.
Mhm.
I saw his wife on, and folks, I don't get emotional about too much.
No, he doesn't.
I really don't.
Because Rich has seen a lot more.
Yeah, I don't get emotional. When Charlie Kirk's wife was on,
Erica, beautiful woman.
and she gave the talk that she did,
Mm.
the part that got to me, you could see the excruciating physical and mental pain that she was in, the tremendous loss that she was experiencing. And she said she forgave the shooter.
And she was there in the audience, I understand.
She saw her husband.
She saw her husband assassinated.
Wow. Right? And I was just thinking, in the Watchtower, if you go in and say, my brothers, I had sex outside my marriage. Are they forgiving like she was? And the Watchtower would look at her and say, she's not a Jehovah's Witness.
Mm-hmm.
She can't be spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
She's not going to be saved at Armageddon.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be destroyed because she's part of Christendom.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they would say.
Mm-hmm.
What a very strong, super spiritual woman with oceans of integrity she was. I actually cried. I actually sat there,
really did.
watched that, and I cried.
Yeah, he really did.
I cried for her.
Yeah.
And of course I cried for her two young children
Oh, yeah.
that'll never know their father. And the Watchtower, the Watchtower would point a finger at her and say, you're not worthy to go through Armageddon. Jehovah's going to kill you because you're a part of Christendom. What a sick religion.
Well, and I'd like to just say this, Rich and I are newlyweds, and Erica and Charlie were only married 4 years.
Yeah.
They were not married very long. That's one issue. And then they have 2 children. I think one was like 2 or 3 and the other one was about 1. They were little children.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, that's one issue right there. The other issue was that she saw her husband assassinated right in front of her. And that's totally devastating. How do you explain that to your children, right? So, Jesus is all about love. Even if people have a difference of opinion, violence is not acceptable, but you can try to speak and reason with people in a very loving way. And that's what, Jesus commanded us. Look at all of the what's the word I'm trying to say? Look at all of the, can't think of the word right now, issues that Jesus had with the Pharisees and people who did not want to hear what he had to say. Jesus was really up against some pretty evil people. The Pharisees wanted to put him to death, and they couldn't do it according to the law, but they had the Roman rulership do that in their behalf. And yet, Jesus was all about love, miracles, curing people. He met with prostitutes. He met with tax collectors. These people were just so broken. And you know what? Even if you're not a prostitute, even if you're not a drug addict, whatever, you know what? We are all broken. We are all broken in life. And people are basically trying to do the very, very best that they can to enjoy their life, to enjoy their family, to make good decisions, have some happiness, peace, longevity in their life, live a good quality of life. But, life can be very, very challenging. And yet you have an organization like Watchtower that claims to be very loving. Okay. Let me tell you, there's a big difference about when somebody speaks something and yet when somebody lives it. There's a total difference. And yet Jesus says, you will know my disciples by the love they have among themselves. Or he talked about the fruit, same thing. Watchtower breaks up families. They don't love families. When it comes to this issue with regards to disfellowshipping someone Say if it's immorality. Okay, the majority of people, I didn't know this, but I learned this from the show. The majority of people who are disfellowshipped in the organization, it's because of immorality, whether it's fornication or it's adultery. Okay, that's the majority. So, but Jesus forgives people. Watchtower doesn't. And so when you're disfellowshipped until you come crawling back and kissing the toes of the elders. Okay.
You said the toes.
Yeah, I could say something else, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, that's the difference, because it's not a Christian organization. You know?
Yeah, it's
Look at the man, Rich, that was the evildoer next to Jesus,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
He repented right there. He was
On the
down to
cross.
practically his last breath, and yet he repented. And he knew Jesus shouldn't have been there, but he and the other guy deserved to be there on the cross. Anyway, and Jesus said to him, "Today you will be with me in paradise." Now, what that man did was very evil, maybe murder, we don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe a pedophile, who knows? But he was very evil, and he deserved, according to the Roman rule, to be crucified. But then yet Jesus had so much love that he forgave him right there and then. This is the other thing, Rich, I have to say. When somebody's disfellowshipped in this organization, okay, or you raise any issues and Watchtower, God forbid, doesn't want to hear it, so they call you an apostate. What about these elders who think that they can read your heart? They'll have you in the back of the Kingdom Hall for years. Look at Larry John Wayne.
3.5 years.
They're trying to act like God, and they're saying that, oh, you're not repentant, brother, or you're not repentant enough, sister. Who gave them the right to try to pretend that they're God, right? They're trying to act like God himself.
A lot of those disfellowshipping is political. It's
Yes.
absolutely political.
Because their kids can do things, and that's hush hush.
Yeah.
Sweep it under the carpet. Don't let the congregation know about that. Right? I saw that in my congregation.
I've seen it plenty.
Yes, I have. You talk
A lot of
about
hypocrisy.
hypocrisy.
Being on 6 screens
You
for
know
20 years,
Mhm.
man, I've heard the stories.
Mhm.
They come in every single week, what the elders do and so forth.
Well, there's a lot of elders that are into kiddie porn.
Yeah.
And that's a felony right there. I mean, you can go to prison for that.
Mhm. They're watching kiddie porn. And the elders book says, well, if you catch them doing it, they might be taking their position away. Maybe not. Depends on how long it happened. If you're an elder and you commit immorality and you confess it 5 years down the road, they're going to tell you, shh. I told a story on 6 Screens a couple of months ago, actual story. This brother that I knew was JW at the same apartment complex that I was at.
Yeah.
And he said he was having problems with his marriage, been married about 10 years. So they went to an elder that lived at the same apartment.
This is a good story.
Went to the same apartment complex. And he said, look, we're having marital problems.
This is good.
He said, I want to confess to you that we had sex before we got married. Do you think that's why we're having marital problems? And the elder said, put his finger over his mouth and said, shh, we did too. We did too.
But God forbid they don't want the whole congregation to know that, right?
Yeah, we did too.
Yeah. And you know what it tells me with regards to the kiddie porn, they keep changing the Shepherd of the Flock book every 6 to 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
This is my feelings on it. But the point is that it's like a little slap on the wrist. It's not a judicial committee meeting, right? It's a little slap on the wrist. The reason why I say that is because it's so prevalent. That's what I think. I think it's so prevalent that there's so many people in the organization. Now, let's be real. There are women that even are into pornography. But anyway, there's a lot of men that are into it, more so. That's a fact. And this kiddie porn issue, I think there'd be so many disfellowships. The elders would be nonstop disfellowshipping people and that's why they keep revising that. But as far as the laws of the land are concerned, you can go to prison for that.
Oh, yeah?
It's very serious because a lot of times people act on what they see with their eye gates and so forth.
That's exactly right.
Mhm.
If you're watching porn, very shortly you will commit some form of immorality. Guarantee it.
And men are very physical.
Yeah.
Men see with the eyes, right? A beautiful woman, or she's naked, or whatever. That men are very, very visual that way. And women are different. Women are different. You got to basically reach our hearts, but men are very, very visual, very physical with that. So I am not surprised. And I'm not just saying JW men are into, for sure. But there are a lot of so-called Christians. That's a huge issue, is pornography. Huge.
And drinking also. There's a lot of drunks in the in the JW organization.
Well, that's their only outlet.
Because they have, they're loaded down with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
You have hanging over your head for 30 or 40 years, Armageddon's coming, is going to be so terrible that no flesh would survive unless the days were cut short. And you got that hanging over your head all the time. You want a little relief from that? Yeah, I think I'll have a little gin, little scotch, whatever. I get I'll take the edge off the day.
Well, you think about, the Bethelites. They go in, they're young, they're not alcoholics. And then, they're working, how many hours, Rich, are they working a week?
Oh, they work about 60.
About 60 hours.
Yeah.
And then they still have to prepare for all their meetings, and they have to go to all their meetings and commute for that. And then on top of that, they don't really have much of a social life. It's just go, 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 go. They have to be downstairs in the worship at 7 o'clock in the morning. Their rooms have to be completely nice and clean and tidy and neat. I mean, the pressure is unbelievable. And a lot of the sisters that are apparently married to these brothers, they can't handle it. They're having a lot of nervous breakdowns. It's just way too much. They had no idea that that's what Bethel was like. So my point is, because of all that, that's why there's so much alcoholism.
Yep.
I talked to a brother that had been a Bethelite after I left the organization. I said, why is it you don't ever hear these former Bethelites share their experience, how wonderful Bethel was? What was it like? And he said, I'll tell you. He says there's a lot of homosexuality and there's a lot of drinking, alcoholism. And I said, you got to be kidding me. He said, no, I'm not. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. And he says, we are told when we leave Bethel, shh, be quiet. Don't you tell anybody what you saw and what happened here.
You know that expression?
Because it's all about image.
Exactly. You know that expression, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they have the same attitude. They tell the JWs that are going back to their congregations.
Yeah.
Listen, don't say anything negative, because if that brother who was at Bethel came back to his congregation and started telling the truth, probably no one would believe him, because they think it's a bastion of spirituality and so forth.
It's God's house.
Yeah, it's God's house, right?
Right.
If a Bethelite came back to the congregation and was saying negative things, they would just, even if it was true, like the alcoholism and the homosexuality, even if it was true, they would disfellowship him, and the excuse they would say, he was causing divisions,
Right.
or he's talking negative about Jehovah's organization,
Right.
and he would have to be disfellowshipped.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they do it.
There was I remember this one situation. It was a young brother. He went to Bethel and he served, X amount of years. I don't know how long. Anyway, he came home and he had his suitcase and had the suitcase open. And I guess the mom walked in, he was going to take his clothes out and hang them up on the coat hangers in the closet. And the mom saw a bottle of alcohol. I don't know if it was whiskey or what it was.
Yeah.
And she said, what do you got this for? You never drank. He says, well, I do now, Mom, after coming out of Bethel, after being there for so many years.
Yeah, there was one years ago, I remember distinctly, a caller called in, and he was a Bethelite up at the farm.
Yeah.
And he said that if you're homosexual, they send you to the farm. and you work at the farm, and there's a lot of kinky stuff going on up at the farm. You know,
Watchtower is all about image, aren't they, Rich?
it's all about the image.
And then the other thing that's very interesting is Barbara Anderson says that for many of the Bethelites that served, this is very interesting. She said 70% left the organization.
Yeah.
That's almost 0.75%. Well, that's a lot.
Yeah.
If you had, say, 1,000 Bethelites, okay, 700 of them leave the organization after getting out of Bethel. That's a lot of people. That means that only 300 who were Bethelites stayed in the organization. Think about that. You have 1,000 Bethelites. I'm using that as an example. And they served their time in Bethel. 70%, that's 700 Bethelites. They not only left Bethel, they left the organization. So why would they do that? Because they saw the hypocrisy. It's not. It's all a big smoke and mirrors, Rich? Is that the term?
Smoke and mirrors.
It's all about image. That's why Watchtower tells all these Bethelites, keep your mouth quiet. Don't say anything negative about your experience at Bethel at all. It's all about image. And you know what? People crack with that because they're trying to live a life that's supposed to be very godly, right? They're supposed to be very God-fearing people. And then they get in there and then they find out, holy mackerel, what in the heck is this?
Yeah.
What in the heck did I sign up for?
The image and reality are two different things.
There you go. Rich.
Very stark contrast. You know, squeaky clean organization. Everybody's very pious. Everybody's very moral. Everybody's, you know.
Well, they're trying to be perfect.
Yeah.
They want everyone to be perfect in the organization.
They want a perfect image. And when anything, you know, casts aspersions on the image, they hide it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like pedophilia.
Oh, yeah.
Congregations are loaded with pedophilia.
Right.
Every single congregation has some whack job in there who's looking at children the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. And they should not be allowed to even go out into the community where children are. How many times did you go out in service on a Saturday morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And little Johnny or Susie, you know, you rang the doorbell, little Johnny or Susie came and they opened up the door.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't see mommy or daddy there, you know. Maybe they were upstairs, whatever. Maybe they're in the kitchen. But little Johnny and Susie are answering the door. Well, there's a pedophile standing right there, realizing, oh my gosh, look at, there's children here at this house. Mm-hmm. He's not going to forget that because they're predators, those pedophiles. They should not even be in the vicinity of schools, daycares, anybody's home that has children. Remember that one episode we saw years ago? Was his brother that had been a pedophile, a registered pedophile. Mm-hmm. And anyways, someone had found out about him. He was going door to door with some sisters in a van. Maybe some of you folks had seen that. And the camera came up and said, oh, are you so-and-so? And he said, yes. And, oh, well, you're a pedophile. You're a registered pedophile. You're on the registry. And what are you doing going door to door? There's children that are in this community. Oh, man, he didn't want to hear that. Come on, let's go. You know, he was in the car, but he wasn't driving. He was in the back seat. See, that's illegal. They're not allowed to be around children or schools or daycares. And yet Watchtower, the body of elders, they know who these pedophiles are. Do you think that they tell these pedophiles, you can't be going out door to door? No, they don't. No, they don't. They're not there to protect the people out in the community that have children. That's how evil it is. That's very evil. You have a child that was ever raped, that destroys a child's life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it can destroy a child's life forever. And yet this organization, the elders, know with their blue envelopes that they send to the service department who these, you know, perverts are, and yet they don't tell anybody in the congregation or even at the assemblies. How about how many little Johnny and Susies were going to, well, little Johnny's going to the convention, going to the restroom by themselves, right? and there's all these men coming. You don't know what's going on. You think, oh, just because we're in Jehovah's convention, we're safe. No, you're not. And sleepovers, oh my gosh. Don't be having your children at sleepovers. Don't. Not everybody in the organization's a pedophile, but there are plenty. How many did you have, Rich?
We had 5 in my congregation, and actually,
Yeah.
A man that works for Rick
Yes.
was attacked by a pedophile, and I didn't know it till just last year.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. I know
Randy,
who you're talking about.
The guy's name was Randy Carbino, and he was in the Lowell Highlands congregation.
Yeah.
And it was done away with the Highlands. It's called Lowell congregation when they merged 2 congregations together.
Right.
And that guy came over my house a number of times.
And what's scary about it is Rich had 2 small boys at the time, right?
Yep. I think 4 and 7, I think,
Oh, yeah.
their ages, 4 and 7, something like that, maybe 5 and 8. I don't know.
And those pedophiles are groomers. They're watching everything, aren't they, Rich?
Yeah, but and
Sure they are.
that young man that used to work for Rick,
Yeah.
Was the exact same age as my youngest boy.
Right. And he was best friends with your second born son.
Yeah.
So look at how close it came to Rich's family, and you didn't know that. Did you know he was a pedophile at
No,
the time?
I didn't find out till
Right,
a year or 2 ago,
Right.
when we were on 6 screens.
right. But the 5 pedophiles that were in your congregation,
He would have been 6. He would have been number 6.
But you didn't know those
No.
5 were pedophiles when you were in?
I knew the first one.
Okay.
His name was David. I'm not going to give you his last name, but
Mhm.
I was asked to study with him.
I
And-
remember that.
And he told me, well, this one's a pedophile. He knew all the other. He knew
Oh, yeah.
all the other pedophiles.
Now, did any of them serve time?
No.
They never.
Oh, Randy Carbino is serving
Yeah.
time now for that.
Do you know what his sentence was?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty severe sentences.
Oh yeah, they're very
10,
severe.
15 years for stuff like that.
Well, Silent Lambs, if you go on Silent Lambs,
Bill
right?
Bowen's.
Yeah, silentlambs.org. It's Bill Bowen's website. He was an elder in Kentucky. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is he mentions he has a person's picture, pedophile, whatever it was, and it even says how many years they served in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a couple of women, I think 1 or 2
Yeah, speaking of prison,
pedophiles.
The Watchtower will go into the prisons and
Oh, yeah.
they'll preach, okay?
Yes.
In prison, everybody knows that homosexuality is rampant
Oh, it's huge.
because you can't get a woman in there, so they're doing each other. Everybody knows that. I'm not going to go into that.
Well, that's men with men and women. The same thing's going on in the women's prisons.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. They have sex because they can't get the opposite sex,
Right.
so they're having sex with.
They do it in the
same-
showers
Right. All that stuff.
where there's no
right?
cameras.
So the Watchtower recruits these people.
Mhm.
So now, if you're having sex with another man, you're a pervert. And they're bringing these perverts into the congregation. The congregation doesn't know their background. I don't think I would ever hire somebody that just came out of prison, especially not working around my family.
Right.
I mean, maybe if I had a job as a carpenter or something,
Yeah.
mechanic, maybe I would hire them, but not around my family, not someone come just out of prison.
Well, you can't be so naive and gullible, and a lot of the JWs are, Rich.
And they're not protecting the young people. They're not protecting the 9-year-old, the 7-year-old. They're not protecting those people. And that's why they're getting their butts sued off day and night, lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, because they know these people exist. They know what they do, and they tell nobody.
Well, and then when they're prisoners, they want out. They want their freedom.
Yeah.
And many of them are very desperate. Depends on what their sentence is. But they play these con games, okay? And they know that ministers come through with not just the JWs, but other religions as well. And they think, well, if I start, acting like I'm interested in studying the Bible, which I'm really not, okay, because I've murdered, raped, killed, whatever, so many people, but I'm going to play this con game and I'm going to study the Bible. And it looks really good in front of the appeals board.
Yeah,
So
parole board.
The parole board. So
Yeah.
when the time comes, I'm going to look really good. Maybe my sentence will be dropped. And so they play this game because they're con artists.
Yeah.
And Watchtower thinks, oh my gosh, isn't this wonderful? They're interested in studying the Bible.
Yeah.
And this would be great. We can get a new baptized brother and our numbers go up.
And what a hero I will be.
Oh, I'm
because
so.
I brought this man from
right.
a very, very sinful life.
That's
Me,
right.
I did it, right?
Right.
I
right.
brought this man. I studied with him,
Right.
and I got him baptized. Boy, I should be an elder. I should be, what a hero I am.
We had, right before I left, Rich, we had an elder who studied with someone who was in prison.
Mhm.
And the guy was out. And it was like a Thursday night, and he was at our Kingdom Hall, and he was having regular Bible studies with this elder. It was very interesting. And yeah, he was a felon. He had been in prison. I didn't know all the details, but so the point I'm trying to make is this is how Watchtower is bringing these creeps in, because Watchtower is finding them through the prisons.
Mhm.
And then Watchtower is also involved in a lot of things with the people who are not here legally, and so that's a real concern. You get people
Yeah.
involved, because there are some people very, very dangerous that are out there. And overall, my experience, I think JWs, Mormons, a lot of them, they're very, very naive people. They don't really realize how dangerous the world can be.
Right. He's my brother. He's squeaky clean. He's innocent.
He has a
He
tie,
would-
comes to the
He
Kingdom
would,
Hall,
he would never
gives
do anything
talks,
like that.
right?
There was, I'm not going to mention the name, but Rick knows who I'm talking about.
Mhm.
He had a daughter or two daughters, and he was messing around with them really, really bad.
He was a pedophile.
Yeah. And is also a brother. His name was Major. And he was the number one guy in Argentina or Peru, one of those countries. He was the head elder.
Mhm.
I don't know what they call it.
You mean like the branch?
Overseer,
Oh,
branch
okay.
overseer or something,
Okay,
right?
yeah, with the branch.
And I knew his wife. I worked with his wife.
Yeah.
And she told me that he'd been molesting
Oh,
their daughter for years. That's why she divorced him.
yeah.
And the elders knew it and did nothing about it.
See, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, the scars that it would leave on that child's life, Rich.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this, at least the mother believed her daughter.
Yep.
My own personal friend that I worked with, I've shared this story, maybe new people listening don't know this, but a very wonderful person named Adrian. She was not a JW. I wasn't either at this point. But anyway, we're on our little break in social services. Let me tell you what a stressful job that was. But anyway, so we're taking our little walk to try to decompress from all the stress.
Mm.
And she's, it's a beautiful day. It's like you're talking about the weather. And she says, instantly, she says, well, I was sexually molested by my father. And, I had to literally stop. And I said, what did you just say, Adrian? You just said you were sexually molested by your father. Are you talking about your biological father? Or are you talking about stepfather? She says, no, I'm talking about my own biological father. And she was just so open. And because we had just started our friendship, I didn't know her very well. And anyway, he had been molesting her from the time she was 3 till she was about 10. And he, there was the mother, father. She had a brother, and she also had a sister. So there were 2 girls and 1 boy. And my friend said my father would come in. I'd be in bed, and he'd come in at nighttime, come into the bed and start touching her and all that. And then, it got worse. And I said, where in the heck was your mother? Where was your mother? Did your mother know what was going on? She said, and let me tell you, my friend had to go through a lot of extensive therapy. But anyway, she said, well, my mom denied that she knew anything about it. I said, is that right? Really? it's nighttime and your mom's husband, your father should have been in bed with your mother, and your mom doesn't even know where her husband is? Really? So it was a lie. And some women, meaning mothers, will lie and say, same thing happened with Joyce Meyer, the evangelist. Because as a child, you expect your parents to protect you, especially your daddy. But if something's going on with your daddy with you, then, you're expecting your mother to come to your rescue. And when your mother doesn't come to your rescue, you're thinking, what in the world is going on? Well, her mother, just like Joyce Meyer's mother, was more concerned about having a meal ticket, having her husband financially support her and the family and pay for the mortgage and all the bills and everything else, the car payments, all that, because she couldn't do it on her own. She was a stay-at-home mom. So she literally sacrificed her daughter. She did. She sacrificed her daughter, Adrienne, so that she would just say she didn't know what was going on with their husband and their daughter. And so I asked Adrienne, was your brother molested or your sister? I don't know, but my brother is gay today. And she said, my sister, she won't talk about it at all. So anyway, and her father ended up committing suicide when Adrienne was 10. But it was heavy duty. My friend, all those emotions were completely shut down and suppressed. And like I say, it stopped when she was 10. He learned it from his brother. Okay, it's learned behavior. So all of his children, the cousins, were all molested. Adrienne tried to talk to them, and they just shut down. They don't want to talk about it. But the point is, when my friend went to college down in Southern California, UC San Diego, it should have been happy days for her, right? She's a young adult going to college, trying to have a wonderful life. And she went to the career counseling there and talked to a counselor. And the counselor in college says, well, I'd like to talk to you about your family dynamics. And she says, okay. And she says, I specifically want to talk to you about your mother and father and your upbringing. She's thinking, what in the heck's that have to do with anything? And so it was a great counselor, great therapist, and really, because all those, like I say, all those emotions, all those experiences were totally suppressed. And so my friend, she told me, she says, man, did I act out sexually? Man, I was all over the map. I said, well, that is one kind of behavior that people exhibit when they have been sexually abused. Not always, but it is a possibility. So then they brought up about the father, and man, then the mother. Yeah, it was my friend. Maybe someday I'll have her come on the show. She was never a JW, but what an experience. Her own biological father. Very sad. So with Watchtower allowing this to happen and keeping, things quiet, that is a total disgrace. And there is no love in that organization when you are not protecting the vulnerable. And the vulnerable are the children. Okay? They're the little people. They need to be protected. They need to be loved. And when that's taken away from them, it does serious damage to their psyche and to their lives. They have to have serious counseling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Star 6, we've got another 10 minutes. If you want to make a comment, now's the time to do it. About anything we're talking about tonight, or if there's something really on your mind, let's hear it.
Yeah. We'd
Star
love to hear
6.
from you.
Star 6.
Speak up, because then Rick's going to do JW World News.
Ready? Well, I'd just like the audience to know that there are some wonderful channels on YouTube.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful. Of course, Rick's program is unique in that you can call in and talk about stuff and
It's
ask
all live.
questions.
Huh?
It's all live.
This is all live, right?
Yep. All that stuff on YouTube is somebody's content, and it's well done. All the stuff that I see on YouTube.
And it's taped.
And it's taped. I think the only one that came before Rick was Bill Bowen's Silence of the Lambs, I think was the name of it. But
Silent Lambs.
Silent Lamps.
Mm-hmm.
And then 6 Screens,
Yeah.
all these other programs, that JW Examiner, and all of them. You know, they're, you know, Rick is a forerunner for all that.
Oh, yeah.
6 Screens was.
Yeah.
So please, you know, in the Watchtower, they always tell you to, you know, go knocking on doors because you're going to be blood guilty if you don't, and all this stuff, right? That they just wanted you to recruit people, and hopefully 30 years down the road, those people die and they have a house and they leave it to the Watchtower, and that's where they get their money. That's the reason why you go and door to door.
Well, and now you don't even have to record your time.
Yeah.
Now it's just a checkoff
Yeah,
box.
there you go.
How easy is that compared to when we were in, Rich?
But if you know that JWs are suffering,
Yes.
and we illuminate how they are suffering, you know, the mental anguish, the suicides, the drinking, and so forth, please let somebody know. You don't have to do it on the, if you're hesitant, send them a postcard or a letter and don't sign it. But do something. You'll feel really, really good about yourself. There are many, many people out there suffering inordinate a number of suffering for no reason. And if you can help them, I know every time I finish doing a program, I feel really, really good about myself because now I'm on the offense. As you know, 40 years ago, they were shooting at me. Well, now I'm shooting back at them. But I'm not doing it in a vindictive way. I just really want people to know who the Watchtower is and why they do what they do and how they do what they do and the trickery they use, their little mind games. They're playing around with semantics all the time. It's a cult, folks.
Yeah,
it's a
cult.
Very deceiving cult, and it comes from Satan, the devil, who is the father of the lie, and we expose all the lies the Watchtower tells. That's what we do here. We expose it. And YouTube, all these programs on YouTube, they're fantastic. JW Examiner is one of my favorites. But
It's called JW Analyzer.
I'm sorry, JW Analyzer.
Yeah, by Jonathan Leisure.
Yeah, he's
very good.
I mean,
very
there's a lot of them out there.
There's a lot. There's Tell Me Dr. K. I love the guy. He has an African accent, so he has to speak slowly to be able to decipher what he's saying. But he was never a JW. He has 2 doctorate degrees, one's in theology, and he'll critique Watchtower, and he's very accurate. You know, he has his facts. He has his facts down correctly. The other one I'd like to say is jwfacts.com is a great website to check out with regards to Watchtower. Vern, there's a lot. JT, Lady C, there's a lot of them. And the thing is that there's nothing worse than feeling like you're in total bondage, Rich.
Yeah.
You know, you think about these people that are in prison. Say, for example, if they're in prison and they don't deserve to be in prison. Say they're falsely accused, okay? It's one thing to be in prison. You murdered somebody or you raped somebody and, you got to pay the penalty. But say if you're in prison with something you didn't do and it's a false system, it's a false accusation. Well, it's a horrible situation to be in. You're in total bondage. Your freedom is totally gone. It's disappeared. And all you want to think about is getting your freedom back and regaining your life over. Well, that's how I look at it with the witnesses, Rich, because, they think they're doing the right thing. They think they're, loving Jehovah and studying his word, the Bible. They're going to make it either into the new system or they think they're going to have the heavenly hope. But the thing is that, they're studying a Bible that is so distorted. It's so, I can't think of the word. It's just very, very distorted. They don't even really know what the real Bible teaches. That's for sure, because they're not even Christians and they don't even know that.
Yeah.
They don't even know that. And they're in this darkness and they're in this bondage and they have absolutely no freedom whatsoever. And they keep going through all these meetings and all these conventions and going out in service and all of this. And they think that they're, acting like this is a Christian thing to do. Matthew 24:14. But, it's all about works. Jesus said it's not about the works. And people need to know this, Rich. People need to be free. Okay? They need to be free. They don't need to be in bondage with a cult. And, Watchtower will never, ever give up, because they're nothing more than a corporation that wants free labor. They want the people so that they have more money coming in. That's the bottom line. I know that's a very hard pill to swallow, but it's the absolute truth.
Yeah, the governing body does not give a care about what you think, what you feel,
Or what you've sacrificed.
or what you hurt. If you give $1,000 to them, they want $2,000. They're not going to say, "Thank you for the $1,000." We want another 1,000. Go back and get another $1,000 from wherever you got that money from.
Or what about, like I gave up my youth. You were young when you were in. I was in as a teenager and through my 20s. You can never get that time back, right? Never. I don't, even if it's not money, if you didn't have much money to donate, your time is so precious. You can never get it back. I mean, I say that to Rich. If I'm watching something like a YouTube and then a commercial comes on, it drives me nuts, because I don't want to waste my time watching a commercial. I want to focus in on the YouTube, right? Why? Because I can't get that time back. Your time is so very precious. And Watchtower, they have just sucked the life out of people, with people being in 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Watchtower doesn't care. They never did love you. That's the truth of the matter. I know it's hard to hear, but it's the truth. They never did love you. It's all a facade. You give them everything you have, and then when they're done with you, they kick you under the curb, under the bus. They don't care. There is no love in this organization.
Throw you right out in the street.
Right.
And they know you don't have any Social Security that you can bank on. They know you're broke, because you're not going to save any appreciable amount of money serving at Bethel, and they get a stipend.
They knew this from the very beginning. They knew this from the very beginning with all of us. Don't go to college. Don't associate with worldly family members. Yeah. Because when you burn those bridges, okay, and you've been at JW, that was my case, your family doesn't want anything to do with you when it comes, no Christmas? That's family time. No Thanksgiving? Really? No birthdays? That's when families get together, family and friends get together to create memories. Watchtower had this all set up from the very beginning, because they knew what they were telling us, so that we'd be so isolated, that we would be so broken, that if we left the organization, the only place we could run back to would be the cult.
Yeah. Anne Marie said something a few years back that made a lot of sense to me. The number one thing that keeps people in, like the Watchtower, is a sense of belonging.
Yeah, people want that.
You're belonging to an elite, in their mind, an elitist cult. And you're better than everybody else, because Jehovah's blessing you with the knowledge of who he is. So you're in this cult, and and you're going to be rewarded with everlasting life on a paradise earth. Everything is going to be wonderful. So you put your heart and soul into it. And if anybody says anything negative about the Watchtower, they're evil slave, they're apostate, they're this, they're that.
Right.
They're not going to listen to any kind of reasoning. There's oceans of evidence now that wasn't out there because of the internet last 30, 40 years. Now people are finding out who C.T. Russell was, who Rutherford was, who Noor was.
Right.
These are scoundrels. These people are sex deviants. C.T. Russell's fooling around with a 14-year-old. Rutherford walked down on his wife and was traveling with this woman every place he went.
Yeah.
All this stuff.
Well, and what about all their literature, Rich? I mean, the Truth Book and all the books that they had, okay, they were supposed to have been inspired by Jehovah God. And then it was like, turn them all into the Kingdom Hall and get rid of it. Why did they do that? Because they don't want a paper trail of what they taught.
That's it.
Okay, because they knew it was false. Bunch of lies, false prophecies, false. And people base their whole lives and their future lives based on the information from the books that they had at every single convention.
I gave him a military career, which
Yep.
looked very, very promising at the time.
Yep.
I joined the Marines at 18. I could have been retired at 38 years old. When I came 38, I'm like, gee,
That goes by so fast.
yeah,
doesn't it,
I
Rich?
could have had a big check coming in every month
At 38
at 38. And
for the rest of your
all
life.
my medical for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You know,
They have done tremendous amount of damage to people's lives, but it's never too late. Okay. It's never too late. You have to get out of the organization and you have to really understand what freedom is like. And that doesn't mean people turn into sex maniacs or prostitutes or drug addicts or alcoholics, or your kids are going to, join gangs. It doesn't mean any of that. Watchtower uses all that psychological fear just to control you, to keep you in. But the thing is that, man, when you get out, when you're ready to get out, and I really mean to leave this organization, and that's a very personal decision. When you finally do leave, my gosh, the freedom is unbelievable.
oh, it is. And
It's a wonderful life. It is so wonderful.
politics can be very dirty, can be, everybody knows that the politician doesn't have the best reputation
Oh, no.
of politicians. But I saw something at the Charlie Kirk Memorial or
Oh, yeah.
the service.
Yeah.
I saw Tucker Carlson invoke the name of Jesus.
Yes.
Attorney Miller.
Stephen Miller.
Oh, Stephen Miller?
Mhm.
Yeah, Stephen Miller.
Mhm.
J.D. Vance.
Vice President.
Mario.
Christy Nome.
Yeah. So who else do I have?
Hegseth.
Hegseth and President Trump, all invoking the name of Jesus.
Yes,
that
they did.
was heartwarming for me.
Yeah.
It really was, and seeing what a good man Charlie was, and he certainly was. And the Watchtower will tell you, well, it was heartwarming for me because we're always told that everybody in politics is a criminal, everybody's dishonest, everybody takes graft. Not everybody, but a lot do. But it's nice. I have more confidence in my government now than I had 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was just good to see people like Pete Hegseth, and Marco Rubio and people like
That's
that.
right. Marco Rubio
Yeah.
was there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with our Constitution, like I say, the founding fathers, they fought very diligently against the rule of England. And England was the largest. What was the deal on that, Rich? They were the largest empire at the time. They had a huge, massive naval.
Yeah, they owned India, and
What's that?
they owned the land of India. There was a saying that the sun never sets on Britain.
Wow. They were huge, gigantic. And you think about, what we went up against so we could have our freedom in this country. And, the Constitution talks about our freedom. It talks about our inalienable rights from God. And founding fathers, not all of them were believers, but many of them were.
Yeah.
And
In God we trust is on all our coins.
right. And this country was blessed, whether you want to believe it or not, because JWs don't know about their history. They really don't, the Constitution. But this country was blessed because of God's blessing. So it's very interesting to see how you had Charlie Kirk talking about God. He talked about freedom. He talked about love. He talked about God's word being inspired, and it's all intertwined. And it is, because God loves us. He wants us to be free. He wants to have prosperity. He wants us to be able to enjoy our lives and have families. And those were some of the very, very basics that we were given as citizens of this country. And that's why there's so many people that want to come here, because they want that. They want that freedom. And so that's what Rich is saying. Rich was boots on the ground in Vietnam, in the jungles in Vietnam, to serve for your freedom, my freedom. Comes at a very, very high price. It doesn't come for free. A lot of men. How many men died in Vietnam, Rich?
58,430.
And the average age was 19.
Yeah.
And my husband saw people have their heads blown off in Vietnam. He saw a lot. There was a very heavy price. So don't ever take that for granted. I know Watchtower is very, got to be neutral. You can't be political. That was drilled into us. But then, oh yeah, they belong now to the United Nations.
Sure, and they wrote letters to Adolf Hitler, and they're so phony and lousy. Well, we're cutting into Rick's time.
Okay.
So we have our own Charlie Kirk, and I'll turn it over to Rick Farron right now.
We look at Rick as Charlie Farron.
Charlie Kirk.
I'm sorry. We look at Rick Farron as Charlie Kirk.
I do.
He's a man that's very bold. He loves people. He loves God. He loves freedom. Do you know how much courage it takes to be able to stand up against evil, against darkness, the principalities, all that, just to be able to speak the truth so people can have freedom? And that's what Rick, my husband, does. That's what we're doing on this show. And we do it truly out of love. You might not necessarily agree with everything that we say. You might not believe in God. Trust me, when I left Watchtower, I didn't believe in God. I didn't want anything to do with God. So I get it. But that's the damage Watchtower does. But we do this out of love because we want you to have freedom in your life. Because freedom does start in your mind. So thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, well said, Connie.
Thank you, everyone.
My beautiful wife.
We love you.
Always on target.
Yeah, we love you.
Yeah, we
do
love
it out
the
of
audience.
love. We really do.
We do it out of love.
Yes, we do.
So we'll turn our program.
Thank you, Dick. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you, Rick.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get on stage all the time I'm doing stuff from a hotel room. It's not like being back in the studio. But anyways, we're going to JW World News. That's coming up right here on the 6 Screen Tele Network. Thank you guys for coming on. We really appreciate it. Thank you for the little snap from the beginning. Well, we're back in action here tonight. Our friends on JW World News will start in about 5 minutes. So by all means, stay with us. And thank you, Dick and Constance, for coming on with the program tonight, exposing the Jehovah's Witnesses. We appreciate it. Good night, guys. Join
God
us
bless
now.
everybody. God bless.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to JW World News. That's coming up next right here on the 6 Screens Tele Network. Let me just see why I can't get this up here. This is nutty. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's end this stream. We're going to go to another stream right now. So stay with us, and we'll be right on with JW World News. Well, there we are. Okay. So don't go anywhere. About 2 minutes, our program starts. We're ending it here. Thank you for coming in to Dick and Constance Borghi.